Hi, Stacy here with Bluebird Paper and Thread. Thank you for joining me today. Today is Saturday, March 30th, 2024, and I am so happy that you stopped by to spend some time with me. This channel is on my hobbies, which is cross stitching, a little bit of sewing, eventually some quilting, I hope, paper crafting. I like to make cards and gift tags and gift card holders and treat boxes, that kind of a thing. In fact, this is a little treat box that I made for Easter. It's a little carrot. How cute. It's not done. I need to do fill it, and I'm going to fill it with chocolate Hershey eggs. And then I think I'm going to do a tag, Happy Easter, Hoppy Easter, I don't know, something, and then some twine around the the stem. But very cute, very small little treat box. But anyways, this is something I like to do. um, if you are new, welcome. I am so glad that you decided to stop by. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. And if you're returning and been with me for a while, welcome back. I really do appreciate you. This week, not a great week. Just, work, not super great. We did go on retreat last weekend. And it was one of the longest car rides to that location that I think we've been on ever. We left at 4:28 in the afternoon, and we pulled in. We pulled in at like 8:10, 8:12. Usually we're there somewhere between 7 and 7:30. And we did do a stop so I could use the restroom. And there was a hurricane here in August. Had to been August, because that's when we were leaving. And we were leaving the day that it was coming in, and we were concerned about leaving the kids here and feeling like we were bad parents. And I'm like, they are full-fledged adults, and they've got adult family members that are 4 miles away. They'll be fine. So, but anyway, so it didn't rain that heavy here where we are, but at that location, we have to drive over a river, a stream, a tiny, tiny little stream, a puddle, and so water runs through that camp property. Well, I guess they had like the 100-year flood, because a quarter of the camp property washed away. There is where you could gradually walk down to where the river was. It's now a drop off with sandy ground, so if you get too close to the edge, it just crumbles away. The river is back to its normal size, obviously, but of course you can see the path of destruction. A huge amount of trees were taken away. There was, he called it the village. There was an area at the east end of the camp that had 4 or 5 cabins. Three or four of those cabins washed away. Bikes washed away, helmets washed away. I think he had a total of 5 or 6 propane tanks. Most of those washed away. They had to redig their well for well water. And then they had to he and the other camp that's on that road and residents had to get that road reworked. And so when you're coming in at dark and the landscape looks completely different it was a little treacherous, because at one point we come up and one of our leaders was stopped and she's outside her car and I'm like, oh gosh, what's wrong? So she comes over and she's like, I don't know if that's the river we're supposed to go to. And there was another path that you could take to go off to the right. And so we decided, okay, well, that has to be it. Well, she started up that path first, and no, that's not it. It was blocked off by boulders. That's where the machinery would move the boulders out of the way and stop them there. So there was a wall of boulders. So then she started to back up and she got caught on one of the boulders. Again, it's very, very cold. They're expecting snow. It's 8 o'clock at night. It's dark. You've got this river that you've never had to cross in this spot before. So really we were approaching the camp from a much different angle, from probably 150 yards downstream than where we normally would. So that was different. But we got there, and it did not snow that night. The next day, it started to rain, a light rain. It got kind of windy, and then it started to sleet, and then we had a little bit of snow. So when we woke up on Sunday morning, I had to use the restroom, and when I was done, I walked over the window and I peeked out, and there was this much snow on the car, and I've never had that much snow on my car before. So, and it was just a blanket of white, and it's so mad. I'm so jealous of those of you that live in places where you can get snow, and I know you're like, oh no, you don't want to live in snow. I'm not talking Michigan snow. I'm not talking New England snow where, you know, you get those nor'easters. I'm talking a storm comes in and drops 3 or 4 inches overnight, and it was lovely. It was white, it was quiet, it was cool. It was just really, really nice. So then he tells us, the camp owner tells us, you probably need to leave right after breakfast, because and it's beautiful powder. Like, I wish I still skied, because I would have been like, I'll see you later, I'm going up to ski. Because it was so fluffy and so perfect. I just, So he's like, but you need to leave, because with all of you driving out, it will pack down the snow, and it will get slippery and icy. So we were out by 10. The drive home on the freeway, usually there's a backup and some traffic. We had to pass an international airport, and we were slowing down a little bit, but honestly, there was no instances on the freeway coming home. It was wonderful. Got home about an hour and a half earlier than I normally would, and we take, the kids all stop, and we have lunch at In and Out, and then we come home to my work, and then we open it up, and the kids offload the cars and wait for their parents to come pick them up, and then we go. So that whole process, we were done with it about an hour and a half earlier than we normally are. So it was not bad. And we got to spend some time in the snow, so that was good. But the drive was 4 hours. Almost. So, so that was that. On Monday, we got our first 2 letters from my son, who's in boot camp for the Marines. And I was so excited. And 2 letters came in one envelope, and 1 letter came in another envelope. And the first 2 letters, I need to go back and reread them, because I was a little devastated. He said everybody's getting sick. Everybody's got an upper respiratory thing. It's going around. And it's hard. And he really does appreciate the letters, that kind of a thing. And then the second envelope I opened up, and he must have written the first 2 letters and then went to medical and came back, and he's like, Mom, I have pneumonia, and they're probably sending me home, and I don't want to disappoint you. And I'm like, oh, you can't. And how can you do that when you've got, your kid? You can't call them. You can't. And how do you say you're not? Because 4 days later, he's going to get the letter. You're not a disappointment. You can never be a disappointment. This is not your fault. If you are sent home, it's not because you didn't do your best or you weren't capable. It's because you got sick and your body wouldn't let you do what it needed to do. So I texted my friend and I said, kid's got pneumonia. And he's the one that went through the Marine Corps and served 3 tours. And I said, what exactly are we looking at? And he's like, well, they can keep him there and recoup him there, and then they will slide him into a different platoon that is at the same week of where he stopped training, or they will send him home to recoup and give him a date to come back, or they will medically discharge him. So he wrote the letter a week ago Friday. I got it on Monday, and I haven't heard from him. I am on the Facebook group for Marine parents of kids who are deployed or in boot camp, and they said several people's kids have been moved to the medical platoon for recuperation or sent home, and they get a phone call. So I have not received a phone call. I have not received an email, a text, nothing indicating that my kid is being moved or sent home. So I am hoping and praying that because he had been going to medical and he had a little bit of an upper respiratory thing going on, that they were on top of it enough that they caught it early enough and that he was able to kick it, and or that they classified it as a pneumonia to give him a few days of solid rest. But I haven't heard from him since. I've written him 3 letters and I've sent him 4 pictures. I addressed all of his concerns in his letter. Of course, we've talked about this. Of course, it's going to be hard. And of course you hurt, but you hurt because you're working out at a different level, and you hurt because you're sick. The pain will lessen. You will be fine, So trying to be uplifting and not let him know that we are equally concerned. So I'm going to assume no news is good news, and I will reach out to his girlfriend this weekend to say, did you hear from Ethan? How is he doing? I don't know. Have any of you had that happen? I don't even know what to expect. And people keep asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to assume no news is good news. If he were being moved, or if there was something seriously wrong with him, or if he were being sent home, he would have been allowed a phone call. And I'm not going to reach out because in that Facebook group, they also did an article on helicopter parenting. And some people will be like, yes, you are a helicopter parent. But I really don't feel like I am a bad helicopter parent. I'm just hovering to make sure that my kids, are doing what they need to do. And I do try, like when they were in high school, I made them advocate for themselves. And I know there's some parents that don't do that. I didn't talk to the parents, to the teachers, unless I absolutely had to, because I felt like I was getting the runaround, or I wasn't understanding what the kid was saying. So anyways, so I'm like, I'm sure not going to reach out now and find out how he's doing. Just reading that article on what a helicopter parent is. So we sit and we wait. we're here, we're waiting. We will see. We will see what happens. And then today there is rain. Rain. It's supposed to stop here, and I'm looking out and it's still raining. So it stopped for a nanosecond and we're right back at the rain again. So actually it's supposed to be a pretty big storm. There is a flood watch for most of Los Angeles County, and I don't think it's Long Beach per se. But I do live within probably a mile and a half of the flood control. So anything's possible. Anyway, so I did not do my normal video this last week because I was gone, but I did do a video on my market haul. And I must say, you guys are really sweet. You don't have to justify your spending. You're right, I don't have to justify my spending, but I wanted people to know how I got around that, because if I've planned for an expense, I'm okay with it. And I did. I planned for this expense, and I was okay with what I spent. But I had a plan, and my plan was use my credit card points and only spend X amount of dollars over that. When I go to scrapbook expos, I bring cash, and I only allow this much more, only if I absolutely forgot something on the credit card. So, I mean, I go in with a plan, and I think that's what I was trying to get across, is that if you make a plan, because everybody's got different financial situations. And I kind of believe that if you have a hobby, you should be able to enjoy your hobby, and you should be able to buy things to support your hobby and to help you enjoy your hobby. And so sometimes I feel like there could be some people out there that maybe haven't quite thought about it or truly feel guilty about spending. And so I just talked about it so that I could, this is what I do, this is how I did it, in case it might help somebody. But you guys are so sweet. Don't feel guilty. I don't really feel guilty. I don't have to justify. I know I don't have to justify what I spent. I do like how I watched a recent video from Nicole Spohr, and she said, I just decided I have a pattern library. And that's what I have. I have a pattern chart library. And I said that to my husband the other day because he made some comment. And I said, oh, no. This is from my library. And he just started laughing. He started cracking up. So yeah, that's what it is. Anyways, and I have more haul this time that we'll go over too. I don't feel guilty. Okay, so I did a lot of stitching. I got 2 weeks worth of stitching. I had a new start, no finish. And I have a situation with a piece that I wanted to, I pulled it out and I looked at it this morning, and we'll talk about that later. It was my birthday start from this last year, the Summer Quaker by Lila's studio. Yeah, so we'll talk about that at the end, towards the end. But let's go ahead and start with my new start. I am stitching the Honeybee Quaker, and I'm stitching it with Sarah from Sarah's Stitches, and somebody else is joining us. Sandy, what is Sandy's handle? I will link them in the bottom and below. I'm drawing a blank. So I started this, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and stitch it on the Honeycomb fabric. I had 3 fabric options, and I went ahead and decided I need to start it on the Honeycomb. And so that's what I did. And I don't know, I don't know the name of the fabric or the maker. I kind of feel like it might be a Picture This Plus. Aren't they the ones that print on one side and it's white on the other? Anyways, that's how far I got. I am stitching this in hand so I can do the sewing method, so it'll go a little quicker, but it's not as quick as if I were using the other part. I have this one little section, and that's kind of cut off from the others. So I'm using that section. Let's see, you can see. So it's a little harder to stitch in hand, but that's what I'm doing. I'm stitching it in hand. And that's how far I got. You know, when we're doing this little stitch along, we didn't really set a goal or parameters. We're just, I think, just gonna stitch it. And when we're all done, we're done. But I love it. And I'm using the called for flosses. Now these grays are very, very similar in shade, but they are different. This is 645 and 646 DMC. And I almost, because I have both colors in this bottom, I almost switched one of them, and then I thought, no, it is very subtle shading. I'm just gonna leave it. And if I decide later on to switch it, then I'll switch it later on, and I won't bother this. So I started that. Beautiful called for flosses, all DMC. On my wonderful mystery fabric. Okay. I did 2 nights of this week on Land That I Love. I'm working on this section right through here, and I'm in this area, and I really wanted to move this one along, and I did. I'm stitching this on 40 count Vintage Country Mocha and Newcastle linen with the called for, oof, these things are just breaking, called for flosses. I know that's kind of a mess. These are the old floss drops that I used to get, and I don't like them because they break very easily. But I'm using the called for. And this is how far I've gotten. So I've worked up here. I don't have all of the strawberries done, but I think I need to do maybe 3 or 4 more strawberries. And I have everything but the seeds done. And then the vine, of course, that goes with it. And then I've added the little blue dots or flowers, and I have to do the white flowers. And then I can move into the tree, and I think the tree starts roughly here. So I think I have about 3 or 4 more strawberries left to do. I had such a good time stitching this that I decided to do 2 nights because it's just so dreamy to stitch on, and this linen is really, really nice. I'm enjoying the whole thing. So 2 nights on that. And then I put some time in on Butterfly Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. I was working on this butterfly here and the foliage behind it. And I am stitching this on 40 count Cafe Olay sand linen with the called for flosses. Uh-oh, a needle. And this is where I'm at. So I finished the butterfly. I added the greenery behind it. I have to fill in the center of the greenery, but I realized that I don't have that floss color, and I think I used this floss color in the middle of the greenery down here, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I just had to pause for a little bit. So I feel, and I have to put his antennae in, and now that I've got the greenery done, I can do that. So that'll be next when I pull out the black again. I'll do that first, and then I think it's probably going to be an outline of the next butterfly, which will either be the blue one or the white one. But I love it. It's so pretty. And then the called for flosses, these beautiful colors. All different shades. It feels good to get some of these whips to the next level, or finishing it a little bit. This is my Friday stitch. Now, last week I was traveling on a Friday, so I did not stitch on this on Friday, but I did on Thursday. I just pretended that Thursday was my Friday. Just Stitch by Teresa Kogut. March Patreon ornament. I don't know what year. It wasn't this year. It probably was last year. And I'm choosing my own colors, so I'm not gonna. These are what I'm debating and pulling from. Mostly DMC, and I'm stitching it on a round wooden canvas, 11 count, that I picked up at Michael's. So when you are approaching the aisle where the floss is, the DMC, there's an end cap, and it's got a bunch of these on the side of that end cap. But this is how far I've gotten. So I added these two flowers, and I started in on this one down here. I think the heart was already done. I messed up here, so I just opted to fill it in, because it doesn't show the pink. That medium pink color doesn't really show up, and I just thought I'd rather, because I missed one of the little points, and I thought rather than take it out, I just would stitch through it. And then I might down here do the same thing to one or two of the flowers, so that it doesn't look like it was a oopsie. So all I need to do is I have 1, 2, 3 flowers and the greenery left to do, scissors and a needle, and it will be done. What I am going to do with this is I am going to back it with felt. I'm stitching the 6 strands over one space. when I'm done with this, I'm going to put felt on the back, and it's just going to prop up on a plate stand somewhere. Or I haven't decided, I might do a hanger and hang it on the wall. We'll see. It's something completely different, and I really do enjoy it. And when I'm all done stitching it, I will put down the colors that I chose, because I did change all of the colors on this. And did I mention stitching at 6 strands? So it's using up quite a bit of floss, but I really do love it. Okay, I put some time in on the monthly weigh-in by stitching with the Housewives, April. I already have the name of the month done. And I am stitching this, I get this through Fat Quarter Shop, and I get it as a monthly subscription, and it comes with the called for flosses. So here's the floss. Really beautiful springy colors. I'm thoroughly enjoying stitching with the springy colors. And this is how far I got. So down here, the only thing I have left to do is the flower, the leaves have white in the center, and he has 2 white eyes, and then white eyes up here and white around these flowers. And then the banner, white with black letterings, the word spring, and then pink flower with some greenery. And I got this to a point where all I need to do is fill that in with white, and then I can start, there's a bowl with some bunnies and flowers going around it, and it will be done. I am having so much fun with this, and it's going by so quickly. I almost just want to stitch this exclusively because it's so much fun. The yellow scale, the little dark bunnies, this minty green is, in person, it is so pretty. I am so happy she chose to do the minty green for the bowl. So I put in an evening on, actually a morning and an evening, or maybe 2 mornings and an evening. She's teased, she being Priscilla from Stitching with the Housewives, she teased the July, I believe, and it's not patriotic, but it's red, white, and blue colors, and you should go to her Instagram and check it out, and it looks like it's going to be really pretty too. June should be coming. We just got May. June should be coming very soon. So I'm way behind. Put some time in on Entwined Hearts by the Scarlet House. The called for fabric in this photo is Aztec Red. Linen by Weeks Dye Works. I had ordered some peony fabric from Hollis Hands, and it's fiber on a whim. So I decided to do mine in peony, but that meant color change on the floss. But I was able to get the first alphabet, the big chunky alphabet, done. It's so good. So the next thing I have to do is this band here, and then the scripty alphabet, and then another band with some flowers and some numbers, and then I can start getting into more of the motif. Saving that bottom for last. Those birds and that basket, the flowers. So excited. Colors I'm using are Weeks Dye Works Begonia and Cherub, and Gentle Arts Oatmeal, and Classic Colorworks Black Coffee. And I think Black Coffee is the only color that stayed from the original, and I changed everything else up. And I like, at first I wasn't sure about Cherub because I like it here, but it doesn't show up very well here, but it is pink. It is different from the white, and it still kind of lends to that antique-y look, which I really do like. I would love to try to get this done by the end of the summer. That would be my goal. I worked a little bit on the Teresa Kogut Stitch Along Mystery Sal Hometown. I'm stitching this on the called for, with the called for DMC. So with the DMC, she is switching a few of the colors out to overdyed. I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep mine in the DMCs. And there's a lot. But this is going to be a big piece. It's going to be like 15 by 17 or 13 by 17. And this is being stitched on 40 count up in the attic by Fox and Rabbit. So what I did is I continued to work on this red building. Actually, there are two buildings that are connected. This building here and a little bit of the street here. And I feel like maybe I've already talked about this. Did I not? I don't know. When 2 weeks goes by and you don't do a video, it's really difficult to figure out what it is that you did. But I'm really enjoying it. For being a tiny count, it is going by pretty quickly, and I'm shocked at how quickly it is going by. But I have 15 days now to get this section finished, and I'm not sure I'm going to make it. We're going to try. Maybe I'll work on this tomorrow. I talk like I'm not hosting Easter. I'm not going to have time tomorrow. I'm hosting Easter. But maybe if I get everything up and ready, if I get up and ready early enough and I get everything done, maybe I can stitch a little bit in the morning. Or the afternoon, rather. And people aren't coming over until like 4. So like we don't do a brunch or anything like that. We're dinner people. We're not brunch people. Okay. I'm going to show this anyways, but I don't think I added anything to it, and I think I showed this in the last video. But we're going to look at it anyways. This is Redbird Sampler. Brenda Gervais. And I am stitching this with the called for flosses on it just says 32 count Belfast linen. It doesn't really have a color listed, but this is how far I got. I don't think I put any time in on this. I think this was from last video. Struggled quite a bit with this arbor. I know I didn't put time in on it this last week. When I pick it up again, I'll work on this motif here, and then I'll start working, you know, through the middle. I seriously think that's a duplicate. I was thinking, gosh, I stitched so much, but I don't. It's a 32 count linen, so I'm doing 2 over 2 on that one. And now it makes me think that maybe this 2 I don't recall stitching on, but I don't, we'll talk about it again. If I talked about it last time, Harrietta and Company. Brenda Gervais, darling, darling little bunny. I was hoping I would have it done by Easter. Nope. Maybe Easter next year. I am stitching this on 32 count Winter Brew by R&R. And I'm using the called for DMCs. So her little skirt is done, and now I'm just working on her little shirt. It's a lot of, I mean, I guess it would be smart if I outlined it, then it would just be easy fill in, but my brain doesn't always work that way. I think when I'm stitching on linen, it's especially hard because I don't want to miscount by a thread in the linen. So I just tend to do it row by row. But we'll pull this out periodically and throughout the year, and we'll work on it. Okay, put this over here. Okay, that's it for what I worked on. Now my conundrum. This is my birthday sal, Summer Quaker, Lila's Studio. I kitted part of it here, and I kitted part of it in Tennessee. And the floss color for this line right here is used a lot for a lot of different motifs. It's like a dark inky navy blue. And I realized that I'm probably going to need, somewhere in here I thought it said how many skeins, or I watched a video. There's quite a few skeins that you're going to need multiple skeins for. Oh no, it says one. Well, it says 1 skein of each, but it also says on one thread over 1. I am doing 2 over 1, even though this is I believe it's a 36 count. 37 count Russian tea cake linen. So I really should be doing 1 over 1, and I started 2 threads over 2 floss strands over 2 threads. You know, it's early afternoon. I just ate lunch. I love the coverage. It's not too terribly cramped in the holes to get what would be potentially 8 strands of floss into one hole. and I'm loving the coverage. I'm not sure that I have enough floss, especially of that darker inky blue, which is used here and here and here already. I'm not sure I have enough of that floss to do the whole piece. So I've got this giant piece of linen. I'm wondering if I should just restart it over here, 1/2, or even 1/1. This might be a really good count to practice 1/1, which I've been wanting to do. And this went by so quickly. I mean, honestly, this was just 2 or 3 evenings of stitching while on vacation. So, you know, you're distracted. Probably could get this restitched in a couple of evenings. So I'm kind of debating, do I do that? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do I keep on? And the reason I ask is that I went and I bought additional skeins of this dark color. They didn't have it here locally, and I didn't buy a bunch of it out. Or I had one skein, and then I realized I probably am going to need more than one skein of some of these colors. And so when we were in Tennessee, I bought additional skeins, not thinking dye lots would be different. Of course they would be different. So I picked up from Tennessee, and they're very different, the dye lots. So then I came back and I went to Hobby Lobby, where I found the original, and it's closer, if not the same dye lot. I don't know how you can tell on the label what the dye lot is on floss, but so I think I would be okay if I continued with it like this. And I do love, I mean, look at how beautiful that is, and it shows up. But I am not opposed to starting it over. And then I'll pick this out later. What are your thoughts? Start over? Doing one strand of floss over 1 or 2? Or continuing on and doing it this way, 2/2? I know several of you were working on this too. I know this is not going to be a finish for this year, and probably not even next year, but it was so enjoyable, I would like to keep going. I'd like to pick it up again. So let me know your thoughts. And then I'll ponder, and we'll talk about it later. Haul. Quite a bit came in. I got the spring punch needle and primitive stitcher, and I love that. Jan Hicks Creates. Beautiful little punch needle down here. Darling red sampler. And this little pillow down here is really cute too. Very sweet. Another punch needle. Cute little chunky bunny. Chubby bunny. Did your kids ever play that, where they shove the marshmallows in their mouth? How many? And say chubby bunny as they're shoving marshmallows in their mouth, and all I could think of was like, oh my god, don't choke. Don't breathe in and swallow a marshmallow. I don't know that we'll be able to get that out. That's really cute. Just some really, really cute designs in here. Do a up close of this one. I think it's the birds, and I think it's the pinks. Speaking of birds, I have a western bluebird house in my front yard, and I went out there last week because there were sparrows hanging around, and sparrows are the jerks of the bird world, and they will actually go into a western bluebird house and they will break the eggs, or they will peck at the babies until they're dead, and then they'll build their nest right on top of them. They're an invasive species and we really don't want them here. But of course I'm not going to do anything to hurt them, but I'm discouraging them from nesting. And I kept seeing sparrows hanging around for a couple of weeks, going in and out of the birdhouse, and I'd look and there would be one thing in there and I would take it out, and then they'd go in and out, in and out. So finally my husband's like, there's bluebirds, but there's also sparrows. I think the sparrows might be making a nest. So I went in and I took a picture. You can open up the front of it. I took a picture, sent it to my friend. I'm like, what do you think? She goes, well, I don't know. And I decided that the nest was very messy. Bluebirds, the western bluebirds, have a very distinct way of making their nest. They lay everything in a circle and it cups down pretty deep. And this was not that. It was using a different kind of material than what they've been using in the past. And so I decided that it was probably a sparrow nest. I pull it out on trash day and I dispose of it to discourage the sparrows. And I go back in the house, I get ready, I come out and I see a bluebird flying in with nesting material. And I'm like, I destroyed her little nest. They worked double time all day. My husband was home a good chunk of the day. He's like, they were hustling. And so I'm going to have babies again, I think. So I'm pretty happy about that. That's so cute. So a lot of cute things in this. And I went down a rabbit hole. But a lot of cute things in this magazine for this season. So if you're interested, go pick up a copy. And Fat Quarter Shop came out with their springtime ornament book. Really, really cute things. So you can buy the book, you can buy the floss pack, you can buy the finishing pieces, you can buy the fabric, and I bought it all. Because I like to, if I just check yes, I know I will use all the things and I have them all ready to go. So I got the charts, I got the thread pack, which it's all classic color works. And the fabric is 25 count even weave vintage cloth in cloud. And then, of course, the finishing tart pans and the finishing circles to go with it. So this can all go into, I will probably wind up cutting the fabric down so that the rest of the fabric can go in for the stash. But that came in. From Primrose Cottage. I got my spring Quaker finishing kit. So all the floss, the trim, the wool patch, and the backing fabric. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this backing fabric or not. We will have to wait and see when it's all done. I will use it for something, but I picked that up. And then I picked up the pansy patch quilts and stitching. So that chart is really pretty. This picture is not a good picture. It doesn't do it justice. And I feel like maybe I showed you that already. I don't know. But I picked up this chart. Freedom for me and thee. I liked it because of the flags, freedom, and the eagles. And then from Hollis Hands Creates, this is all the floss I was missing for the new Brenda Gervais charts that was coming out. So I picked up these plus a little extra on grits and I don't know. Maybe it's just grits. Because I always seem to need grits and I never, it's either in a package or I don't have any left. I don't know. But I picked this up. So now I can kit that up. And then I did pick up some fabric, but I have to look at the charts to see. This is Cafe Mocha Country French, 32 count. I just did fat quarters on these. I figured if I like the color and I feel like I like the linen, then I can order bigger pieces later. 36 count Vintage Country Mocha. This is also very pretty. It's a nice beige on the back, plain, and that would be an option too. But the Vintage Country Mocha. I don't have 36. This is mostly 36 or 32 count. One more reproduction by Bestitch Me, 32 count. This one has like a peachy undertone to it, more so than the Vintage Country Mocha, although they're very, yeah, you can kind of see. This one's more tan and brown, like more like tea. So it's a really pretty one. And then this one has a nice green undercast, Aspen, 36 count by Weeks Dye Works. So it's a little bit more, it's a neutral, but it definitely has a green undertone to it. And then True Blue. Look at how pretty. True Blue by Fox and Rabbit. That modeling is so pretty. Almost reminds me of a cornflower blue. I think that's it. Long video. I apologize, but there was a lot going on. I don't see you guys or come on here 2 weeks in I miss a week. There's a lot to go over. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, like the video, share the video, comment on the video. I love to read your comments. I just get a kick out of it. And I like to respond, and I do try to respond either with a heart on the comment or I actually will write something back. It may take me most of the week to get to them, but I do at least read them, so you know that. This next week coming up is spring camp. I should be able to get some stitching in. It's going to be a small group, and it's just 1 week, and I don't think I need to be there too terribly early, so that's good. And I think that's it. The rest of the week, once we get past tomorrow, it should warm up and be a beautiful week. I hope that you guys have a great Easter if you celebrate Easter, and get a lot of stitching time, family time in over the next few days. Have a great rest of the week, and until next time, happy stitching. Bye.